Hi everybody, here I am. I'm here. Trust me. Laid out here in front of you, let me explain to you what I have because it's kind of like a little bit of a mess. Over here, this here is a standard reverse mount camera, which I'm actually going to install in a vehicle in another video shortly after this one here gets done. It's just a standard, NTSC infrared day-night camera. Nothing really too exciting. Over here is my slave monitor. I use this for all kinds of testing, videos, demonstrations, you name it. It's just a regular old monitor. Over here is a single pole toggle switch, about as simple and basic as a simple and basic switch can ever possibly get. And over here I have a little slightly more complicated switch, which is a 3-pin switch because it adds a ground, because this here is an illuminated switch. It has a little LED in the rocker switch like you see there. And I brought that out for a reason, and I will explain why. Also over here I have 3 sets of diodes. These are so small. Let me bring them up. These are going to kind of come into play in this topic as well. Working from right to left, this here is a 1 amp diode. This guy here, what we have? IN5, so that's a 5 amp diode. And this big mama is a 6 amp. That's a 6 amp diode. And I also have my good friend Mr. Multimeter over here, which we're going to use. Now, here's the topic at hand. Say you wanted to add a reverse camera onto your system, connected into whether it be your in-dash head unit, a slave screen, rear view mirror with a screen, whatever the screen may be, doesn't matter. That's what this here is all about. Okay. Now, typically what's going to happen is you're going to use your vehicle and you're going to wire your reverse camera into the reverse lead of your lights. So what happens is this. I'm going to turn my switch off. And this here, if you don't watch most of my videos, this here is my test light that everybody just loves. This one here not only tells you what the polarity is when you touch different objects, of course, but it also has the ability to throw negative or positive voltage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and put 12 volts to this red wire. Now this red wire here is connected to the camera power input as well as the switch, so that way when I put 12 volts to it, it's going to complete that circuit and it's going to send the video signal to my monitor, right? But here's the problem. If you notice, our mock-up reverse light is also coming on at the same time. So what's happening is you're driving along, you flick your switch wherever it's mounted up front to see what's going on behind your vehicle while you're driving, but you have your reverse lights on at the same time. That's the problem. And that's what I'm going to address on how to correct and how to wire and beat this seemingly simple problem with some pretty simple tools. Now, there's a few ways you could tackle this. To try to keep it simple as possible, what I would suggest you do is to just go out and use diodes. Now, why do you have 3 different kinds of diodes, is you're asking me, right? Why does this got to be like an electronic lesson? Well, it should be an electronics lesson. If you watch my stuff, I don't want to just show you how to do things and you just sit there and do it exactly as I do it, and you pause the video and bring the tablet out to your car and do exactly what I want you to do. I want you to actually understand the electrical theory and understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't want you to just do it, make it work, but still be an idiot and not know anything better once you're done doing it. Understand why I'm doing it, and that's my videos. That's why I do what I do. So let's start with this education. Now, first things first, this here's my multimeter. I hope that you own a multimeter. If you don't, it's a good investment. Now, I have mine set here to the 10 amp in the DC setting. Okay, so I have my common, my ground, and I have my red probe set to the DC side. Now, here's the reason why I'm using my multimeter. Okay, I want to know how much draw is coming through this circuit to power up my camera. And here's how you do it. And this is how you could use this to check draw on any circuit, as well as this one. It's very simple to do. I'm going to take one side of my switch, which is turning my camera on, to the circuit that it's going to get power from. My multimeter is all zeros right now. Once I flip the switch, you can see here, and let me actually zoom in Believe it or not, I actually only have two hands. Now you can see, this meter is set into DC. It says 0.15. So it's 0.15 of 1 amp when the circuit is on. Turn it off. Nothing. 0. So here's the reason why I'm explaining this to you. Not to bore you, but to educate you. I'm going to put this back the way it was. Now, like I said, what you need to do, so that way you don't turn on your light circuit at the same time to use your override switch to have your camera feeding the signal up front simultaneously. You don't want to have one feature just to create two problems. So you're going to need a diode in this situation to fix the problem. Now you have 1 amp, you have the 5 and you have the 6 amp diodes. Now, as you know, it's 0.15 of 1 amp, so of course you're going to use the closest that's going to be to the 1 amp, or not something that's too big, because you don't want to put one of these crazy mamas in there if you don't need it, because these are expensive and they're kind of big and gorky, so you don't want to deal with that. So all you need is a couple of these 1 amp diodes. So now let me go grab 2 of these guys. I'm going to show you how you can do what's called a double diode isolation. It's pretty cool. Now, like I mentioned before, if I use this here, this power probe here, and have it set to throw power output and connect it to this wire, which is connected in parallel currently to my switch and my reverse tail lights, you see what's going on. The video's coming on, the camera's getting power, and the monitor's coming on, and my reverse lead's coming on at the same time. That's the problem. I only want to have one or the other. The switch does not need to be feeding my reverse lights, and here's where the diodes come in. It's a little quick trick with the wiring. It's actually kind of cool and it's fun, and it's very useful to use in so many different scenarios. So let me show you how it works exactly. First things first, if you don't know too much about diodes, I'm not going to go into a whole big physics theory on these things, but I want to show you one thing that's very important about them. And I'm going to use a larger one because this thing is very small, and it's probably nearly impossible for you guys to make out. Now, the way it was taught to me is cathode can't go. Cathode is this side with nothing on it. Now, you have the banded side. The banded side, ground will pass going this way through it. Okay, so the stripe will let it go. The other way, if you have power, a positive voltage, it will come through on this way. So what you want to do is we're trying to have 2 positive power sources come through the diodes but not feed back to one another. So how you do it, you take your 2 diodes, you're going to have the banded side twisted up together like so, and you got something that looks like this. Okay, so real quick, just once again, looks like a chicken bone, just an electrical chicken bone. Okay, so here the 2 stripes are the cathodes. Those are twisted up together, and that's going to be on one side going to the monitor. Then you have these 2 inputs. One is going to be from my switch and one is going to be from my reverse light circuit. So that way when you put the vehicle in reverse, this is going to get power and it's going to feed the power in through the anode side. Same thing on this side from the switch. Okay, so this here is the wire that's coming from my reverse lights, hypothetical reverse lights in a vehicle. And over here, this is going to be from my toggle switch. So if this is done properly, once I connect this, to my camera. Now, my switch, you can see that the screen is out. Now, if I were to take power and put it from the reverse lights, the lights are on and the camera's on as well. But this wire here will rest at ground or nothing. Actually nothing, because there is no ground in this circuit. This one here will just have power on the power side of the switch and nothing on the other side, and that's exactly right. And that's only because I'm using the standard, you know, El Cheapo switch. But had it been one of these types of switches, this one would have had ground, and this one actually would have been resting with some kind of power on it, or the light on the LED would be showing illuminated, and we don't want that. Okay, now if I take this switch, which on one side is 12 volts and the other side is running in through the diodes, and I flick it on, my camera's going to come on. However, now the reverse lights are no longer coming on. You see? There's absolutely nothing going on here. That little bit of light that's coming on is just feedback from the circuit. But in the real world, in your vehicle, that light will stay off. And that's exactly what you want to have. So you have a double diode isolation. And you could do this with as many sources as you want. You could have not 2, you could have 3, 4, whatever you want. Or if you really want to be fancy, you can get, instead of single pole double throw relays, you can have double pole single throw output relays. You can get multiple output relays, whatever, if you really want to get high tech. But for the normal guy, diodes cost like 5 cents. You know, anybody can afford it. That's the way it should be done, and this will fix the problem, and it'll allow you to just have your monitor on whenever you choose to have it on. Not only will it work with the regular reverse lead, but if you just want to flip it on to keep an eye on your trailer, what's going on behind you, and your tongue, or just to mess with people and see what's going on behind you, if there's a hot girl in the car, whatever your story is, whatever you're trying to see, this is how you do it. So there you go. There's your education. So now you know how to use diodes, how to check the voltage, how to know what the amperage pull is from the circuit, and how it's all done. That's it. So I hope it was helpful.